This musician is playing a balalaika. The pose reveals the strength of his performance. When I look at the sculpture, I imagine the speed of the music to be in sync with the speed of the dance. I imagine the sound in my head because of how well the musician has been depicted. The features of the face are simplistic and portray little emotion, but through the stance of the body, you get a sense of his passion and enthusiasm for the music he plays. The sculpture was created by Alexander Blazys, and it can be found in the collection of the Cleveland Museum of Art. The balalaika is a Russian stringed instrument that has a wonderful triangle shape. Its presence immediately situates you in a particular culture and musical tradition, but it's also a brilliant shape for the composition. Many artists see the triangle as having a special aesthetic quality. Alexander Blazys is an artist who understands this very well. In picking the balalaika, he chooses a subject matter with a triangle shape and then incorporates more triangles into the basic structure of the composition. From this angle, I can see 3 triangles in the composition. The legs create the shape of a triangle. The position of the arm creates another triangle. The great thing is that these triangle shapes can be seen at different angles. The triangles alter slightly depending on the angle, but they are still triangles. That's one of the wonderful things about creating sculptures. When you create a shape, it alters depending on the angle. It's like creating many paintings instead of just one. You need to think about how it appears from every angle. From this angle, you can see that the head of the instrument is another small triangle. It's also interesting that the composition has a different number of triangles depending on which side you're looking at. We can see 2 triangles again on this side. This is the angle where the subject matter seems the most abstracted. It also has the most triangles in the composition structure. It becomes more about the shape and the figure becomes harder to distinguish. I like the idea of having a sculpture where some sides seem more abstract than others. Alexander Blazys was a talented artist. From the back you can see 3 main triangles, but you could also include this one from the shape of the balalaika, and you could even include the triangle from the shape of the foot. It's the triangles that really bring the piece to life. Stylistically, the piece is connected to Cubism, where there is a fascination with geometric shapes and angles. But you see the same use of triangular structures in works by artists that aren't working in that style. For example, The Thinker by Rodin also includes strong triangle shapes in the composition. From this angle alone, you can see one large triangle. It's a good technique to improve the composition of your artwork regardless of the style you're working in. It's something that works when you're creating paintings or sculptures because it's a versatile tool. I want to create a piece of artwork inspired by the Balalaika Player by Alexander Blazys. My first thought is, which view do I choose as my starting point? When you're using a sculpture as a starting point, you could create many images, each depicting a different angle, or you could create another sculpture. There are many options. When you look at a piece of artwork, it should inspire you to create. I'm not aiming to create a copy. I just want to interact with the original and see what happens. It's a form of creative study. I'm going to use this view as my starting point, although I do find the piece interesting from every angle because it is a brilliant sculpture. I'm starting with a sketch of the musician. I've abstracted the shapes differently and I've also added new ones. The subject matter is the same, but even in this early stage, the composition has been altered. I've incorporated triangles as basic shapes, but in this image it isn't the only basic shape to add to the structure of the composition. There are curves in the basic structure of the composition. When I think about balancing a composition, I use contrasting elements to create that balance. Angles are balanced by curves. This is also true for the original sculpture. The structure of the sculpture is created by angles, but every surface is soft and smooth. Every angle is balanced by a curve. It's an amazing composition. I've added some blue and green to the canvas. I now want to add their complementary colours, which are red and orange. I've also added yellow to the canvas, and if I want to balance it with its complementary colour, then I need to add purple. I can add purple abstract forms stretching across the image. The image needs a better balance of light and shade. I've added some darker purple to those shapes, and it gives them more body and makes them appear more three-dimensional. I now want to add some white highlights to the figure. I want a larger contrast between the figure and the surrounding area, so I've made the central area slightly darker. Although I did like the chalice shape that was there, so I'm bringing that back by adding some abstract patterns. Again, there is space to go darker while also adding texture to the image. I've added some more dark green at the bottom of the image, and I've also added some more purple to complete the image. If I was working on a sculpture, it would be difficult to incorporate cloud-like shapes. Sculpture tends to need structure and substance, but when I'm working on a flat surface, it's something I can easily add. Each approach has its own strengths and challenges. When you view them side by side, it highlights where they are different and what they have in common. They sit comfortably side by side, and neither is fighting for dominance. They are stylistically quite different, but perhaps these musicians are playing in the same key. My image is different from the original object. I'd like to say that it has its own rhythm. It is a respectful exploration of the original sculpture. The piece of artwork that I've created celebrates the artwork of Alexander Blazys.